Hi, welcome to Friday Night Chats with Garage Geek. Tonight I'm standing because I got a lot of moving parts and I didn't want to have to bend down and all that kind of stuff, so I decided to just stand. So one caveat I want to report is that whenever it gets close to 8 o'clock, my dogs get restless and they know it's time to go in and get their snacks. So if you start to hear whining near the end of this, it's because my dogs, they want to go inside. So I'm going to try to, do this as quickly as I can without going into 8 o'clock. Okay, so I got some new comics. So happy when my comic order comes in. But first I want to show I got this group of new 52 comics from the same vendor on Facebook who sold me the Green Arrows. In fact, I started reading this Green Arrow, but I'm not quite done with it. So I basically got a Suicide Squad, Batman the Dark Knight, and then I got 1 through 6 of Red Hood and the Outlaws. I'm really looking forward to reading this because the art style is, I don't know if you can see it, but it's just a little bit different and intriguing for me. Okay, so I got that from a seller on Facebook. And then I got, like I said, I got my new monthly comic lot in the mail, and the first thing I opened up I saw was this Wolverine. Like, look how Funko Pop, look how cute that is. I love these, but I have too many of them. I don't have any space anymore. I got a couple single comics. So this is a Wonder Woman reprint, and then these two are my husband's, so I always get him those. I got a Shudder, the latest Shudder magazine. Look at this awesome art. Okay, Mother died, but she won't stay in her grave. Mother has a secret that she needs to reveal. What happened to Mother? Mother's ghost. Now, these things are always fun. I buy it for the art, but the stories are really fun as well. I got this famous monster movie art of Basil Gogos. I'm not sure if it's pronounced Gogos or Gogosh. I'm going to do an overview of this because the art in here is simply stunning, and I can't do it justice by flipping in this odd angle or like this. Oh my gosh, did we just... Look at that. That's, I think, Bela Lugosi as Frankenstein. Anyways, I'll go over that. I'll make a video on that one. Then I got 2 Epic collections in. I'm collecting everything in the Epic collection, and I got both of them were in from the 90s, and this era is very, very sketchy for me. I do not like 90s art. I know some people grew up with it and they love it. I'm going to give you an example. I was just flipping through this, and look at that Iron Man. I mean, how do you arch your back like that in a suit of armor? It makes no sense whatsoever. I'm just like, what? And the other one I got was a 90s Thor, which I believe this is this is Ron Lim art, which isn't bad. But throughout, I mean, the art in this is just not art that I enjoy. But I'm when it comes to the Epic collection, I'm a completist. Oh, as you can see, these are all Epic collections. I've only missed a few of them when they first started because I was having financial difficulty. But since then, I've gotten them all, and I hope that they will reprint the couple that I missed out on. But the crowning jewel is this, Gideon Falls, Volume 2. I read the first volume of this, and I ate it up. It was so good. It was something that, like, I felt it was written for me because it was just everything I love. Mood, atmosphere, great art, mystery. Everything that they reveal gives you more answers. Just like at X-Files or a Fringe TV show. And so, yeah, this thing is... I can't wait to read it this weekend. All right. So that was my comic pickups this week. I bought one album this week. let me reach over here. Now, I stopped on the way home to pick up dinner one night, and I went into a local record shop, which is always overpriced, so I don't go in there very often. But I saw this album, and it was just calling out to me. And it was, I mean, if you see it out of the plastic, it's in gorgeous condition. And nothing else in the shop really appealed to me, but it was, as you can see, $7. And I haven't even taken off the price tag, because sometimes when you take off the price tag, if you don't do it right, it will peel off the paint. And sometimes even crafty shop people will hide a defect under there, which is a shame. But anyways, the cover was gorgeous, and it was the only thing I wanted. So I decided, you know, to me, this is a $1 album. It should be. Right? But I saw it, the condition. I was like, well, no, just get it. It was $7. I believe I way overpaid for this. I listened to it as well. It's really nice. I actually can't wait to listen to it again. So basically there are, it's like symphonic, it's orchestra, has voice, but it also has original instruments. So I'm actually really happy to have that in my collection. When I got home from school today, I had this waiting for me in the mail. I was so shocked because right on the envelope it says cash inside. And I was like, what the heck? That's a joke. And I pull out a $2 bill. Now, I've actually been in the back of my mind recently thinking, hey, I'd like to actually have a $2 bill. And now I've got one. And it was free. And it's mint. And they're basically asking you to fill out a health survey. So I'm going to go ahead and do it just as a thank you for that's a great marketing ploy. And it's the County of Los Angeles Public Health. I felt like going in all the mailboxes around my neighborhood and grabbing these. Funny. I'm just shocked that they actually sent money in the mail. That's pretty funny. Okay, so I want to talk about an article that I saw in the Los Angeles Times. It was like last week. Let me go back to my pictures. So I saw this article in the New York Times, and it's about an African-American woman named Florence Price, and she was recognized as the first African-American female symphonic composer that has been that actually got published, I guess. So anyways, I don't know all of the information, but it was a very, very intriguing story, and the she's having a resurgence recently. And this week I started, well, really today actually, I started listening to some of her work, and it's really good. And so I think I'm going to do kind of an overview with sound bites soon, once I get more familiar with her music. Then a friend of mine, oh no, before I get to that, I also want to remind you that there are a couple challenges going on with some of my friends in the vinyl community. This is Music, TCAT, and Guz69. We're all doing challenges. They last for a month. They go until January 1st. Guz69 is even making his challenge into a contest. You can win a CD. And we have basically you can listen and make your own video. We've made playlists that some are available on Spotify, some are available on YouTube. So you can listen and just write comments about what you think, or you can make your own videos about it. So we're trying to make this more inclusive. Another thing that happened, let me grab this. I don't know if you can still enter, but Miss 80s is doing a Secret Santa gift exchange, and I got mine. And I'm going to open it on Christmas Day and make a reveal video and then post it. Fun stuff. I already sent my package. I sent it, I think at the beginning of the week. Anyways, it should arrive soon. One problem is, I better not say anything, right? So let's just leave it at that. Okay. So the next thing I wanted to talk about, I have my list down here, everybody. The next thing I wanted to talk about is a friend of mine sent me an article today. It's an Atlantic article, and it's called "The End of High School English," and it was such an intriguing article. So basically, a teacher, college professor, I believe, she found out about this. I don't know what it is. It's some kind of app or something, and all you do is you write the prompt in, and it produces writing. And she says it's very accurate, and the writing is even better than most of what her college students produce. And she feels that this signals the downfall of writing in English classes. And this idea, reading this article, this idea was fascinating to me, because in many ways, the phone and video games, and now the phones, have signaled the downfall of reading in our curriculum. I'm going to give you a couple of examples why. I mean, it's not to say that people don't read, and students still do read, but in many ways, there's been a huge shift, and I don't think the educational system has properly caught up with it yet, or have battled it in the way that maybe needs to be battled, or maybe it needs to be a losing battle. But now writing. So imagine if reading and writing both go from the curriculum. Like, what do we focus on? And I'm not saying it's a negative. It would be a total shift in the way that we educate children. And I don't think that the education system in the United States is ready to face something like that. We still haven't overcome what's going on with the reading curriculum. So I'm going to give you some examples. I remember when I was first teaching, maybe my first 10 years of teaching, I would have a new text every week, and I would give the students 20 minutes to read and annotate the new text, right? However far you got, that's fine. Just 20 minutes, sit there and read, and then we would discuss, and I would answer questions. We would go over what you highlighted, whatnot. But I realized that, over time, this is a losing battle, because so many kids, I was teaching 8th grade, and now I'm teaching 9th grade. So many kids in classes are so far behind in their reading levels, like 2nd and 3rd grade reading levels, that they struggle with just reading, let alone trying to understand the content. Whereas you have other kids who are reading above grade level in the same class, and you've got this wide range of kids, and it just wasn't fair. It wasn't fair to the low-level kids who had to sit there and struggle, and then you would get behavior issues, right? Because they just can't do it. And then you would get these, if you focused on them and you went through the reading, and broke it down, like, it's not fair to the kids who could, really read well, because now you're slowing down the curriculum for them. And so I made the shift a while ago, which is debatable, it's arguable, but I did it for a noble reason, right? So now we don't read the text, we listen to it and follow along. Like, the text is on the screen, and then the computer or the actor in the book will read the text, and I stop it, and then we highlight, and we still do those things. And the text is available to the students. They can go online and read it. They can interact with it in other ways. But I just made that shift. And I think now with writing, like, if people can put in a prompt and then it writes, what is the point of having kids be able to do this if a computer could do it for us? And even I talked about this with a colleague today, and he was like, yeah, we're going back to hieroglyphs. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, whenever people text, they use all these emojis, strings of emojis, and it's like hieroglyphic writing. And I was like, that's really, really an interesting thought, because there are many languages in this world that still use pictographic writing. And those languages are very sophisticated. For example, Chinese, Japanese, many of them use the pictographs. And I was just, moving this forward. Imagine, our language shifts so much that emojis become a written language that is universally understood. All these smiley faces, and um, it's just a funny but fascinating idea, right? Like where we could go from this, and the impact, the shift that we're going through with reading and writing because of technology and our phones. It's a very, very interesting thing to think about. I'm saying it. So this article just brought home a bunch of ideas that I had, that I've been thinking about for years. And again, if you want to look it up, it's in the Atlantic, and it's called "The End of High School English." So another thing that was in the news that I want to talk about is I've been watching the show Wednesday on Netflix. Yeah, on Netflix. And it's about, Wednesday Addams. And I guess Tim Burton was accused of being racist because of his portrayal of black characters in the show. Now, I have 2 episodes to go. And so I purposely did not research this because I want to finish the show and then I want to research about it. So my husband told me about this. And so far, I don't see it. And so I'm going to research it, and I'm going to bring up this topic again next week in my Friday night chat. And so if any of you out there, don't spoil it for me, right? Don't give away the ending. Although I think I'm going to be watching it tonight. So it'll be fine if you want to put spoilers, but think of other people who maybe haven't seen it. But this idea of racism in Tim Burton's Wednesday Netflix show is interesting, and I am going to go over it. And any comments that you have, I'll make sure to address in my next Friday night show. You can hear my dog; he's already scratching to get out. I want to talk about a book that I saw last week, and I forgot to mention this. So there's a book out. It's called Black Hollywood. Sorry. Black Hollywood. Look at how dirty my iPad is. Okay, Black Hollywood reimagining, I think it's iconic movie scenes. So basically with African American actors or celebrities. And this book looks so fascinating. I mean, look at this. From Singing in the Rain and Mission Impossible. I just think this would be a really fun book to have. So I've got this one on my radar. Oops. Okay, sorry. Something is weird. Like, it keeps popping back to that Daredevil picture. So here's a scene from 007, right? And this one is a little bit blurry, but I love this picture. I wonder why. I love this picture. That's Vanessa Williams as Cleopatra. So I'm definitely going to be looking for a used copy of this in the future. That's just looks like such a great, great book. And the last thing that I want to talk to you about, again, I kind of raced through this because I know my dogs want to get inside. I want to talk to you about the book Booth. So this is another one of the books that I had from the Booker Prize shortlist, and I wanted to get it done so that I could talk about it today. So I actually just finished it about 45 minutes ago, and then I started, putting together everything for this presentation. And I really, really enjoyed this book. And I'm gonna talk about it because it was about 13 hours long. I listened to it. 13 hours long. The first hour or so, I had a little bit of trouble with it because it's not the type of style of writing that I like, which is third person. But once I got used to the style, I really got into it. And the idea behind the book is it's about the Booth family, John Wilkes Booth, who, sorry not to be patronizing, who, I'm sure everybody knows this, who, shot and killed President Lincoln. But the writer, Karen Joy Fowler, wanted to write about this family, but she did not want the focus to be on John Wilkes. She didn't want to make him the star because he got enough attention, she wrote. So what she wanted to do is she wanted to focus on the family and the aftermath of what he did and what that did to the family. Now, I will basically say that this book is, for the majority of it, like John Wilkes isn't even in the book until halfway through. Like, he's not born. So this is really, like, she goes back to the grandfather, the father, the mother, all of the brothers and sisters, and she's going through this family history. And as I was listening to it, I was wondering, like, how much of this is real and how much, because she gives a lot of details. And so I was wondering, like, how much of this is actually real? Because she really brings this family to life. And in an afterward, she states that she did have to make up a lot. And she says, though, that she feels that a lot of the things that she made up was actually true, but she feels would have been true. So she's trying to say that, basically where I took liberties, I believe that they are realistic liberties. But there's one major character in here that she said she had to build, that there wasn't much that remained of her. And this was the older sister, Rosalie. And she's actually a really interesting character. And she said she needed that character to bridge the older siblings with the younger, because there were 10 of the 10 Booth children, and 4 of them died in infancy. And Rosalie was a little bit older, and she watched the earlier 4 die. And she says that this had a huge impact on the family, and that changed the children that came after. And Rosalie was this bridging child, and she built up this character, and I thought she was one of the more interesting characters in the book. And then later I found out, it's mostly fabricated. But you know what? It doesn't change the fact that, okay, I understand that this is historical, and I'm going to call it historical fiction. It's basically, because of that, it's basically a lot of made up. But as I was, going through this, I was wondering in my mind, like, how much of this is real? Like, how could she know, like, as, a person was walking through the garden, that the sun was shining down on this, unless it was written in a letter? And of course, there were a lot of letters left over and diaries and that kind of thing. She really brings this world to life. So the one criticism that I'm going to have is that I think part of her job, that she even stated, was that she was going to try to show us the aftermath of what he did on the family, on all the siblings that remained. And after John Wilkes Booth shoots Lincoln, the book is over, like, I think in 45 minutes. It was like, there's this 13-hour epic, and I believe, I could be wrong, but less than an hour is after that. And I really think that she should have spent more time on the aftermath, because I think that was an important part of her story. You need to stop. My audience they don't want to hear that. Okay, we're back. Angel is being bad, but he wants his snacks. But we're almost done. Okay, so after listening to the book, I went online and I read 2 reviews. One, I think, from the New York Times, and the other one from the Guardian. The first one I read was New York Times, and man, it was scathing. The writer ripped this book apart, saying how badly written it was, and everything that she quoted as examples, I remember listening to and enjoying. The Guardian, though, praised the book, and it just goes to show how a person's reading experience can be very different from someone else's. That the first one said that this writing was hackneyed, that it was full of cliches. Cliches are overused metaphors, but I'm going to repeat it. Overused metaphors, clunky transitions. And I enjoyed the book so much that I wonder if I didn't see that at all. And so I wonder, like, hey, how perceptive am I really to writing if someone criticizes that so much? And I thought it was good writing. I really enjoyed this. And then The Guardian wrote this praising review of it. And so I think that's a really interesting idea, right? If you know, two people can read the same book and come away with different focal points, right? I think that also focus on writing because I like a writer's style, and like I said at the beginning of this book, I had a problem with about the first hour getting into it because of the style, but that's more because it was kind of third person and I love first person, so it took me a little while to get into the rhythm of it. Also, like I said, this book was one of the finalists for the Booker Prize this year. It didn't win, but it was just a very interesting dichotomy there. One reviewer trashed it and then the other reviewer praised it. And so I just thought that was interesting. If any of you have read this book, I would love to hear your thoughts on it. But if you haven't, I recommend it. I think that even if you exclude the famous son, John Wilkes Booth, this gives a portrait of a family growing up in poverty in the United States at the time before the Civil War. And that alone was fascinating. It talks about the mores, what's going on in the country. Oh, also, I forgot to say that every chapter is started with a piece from Lincoln's life, his political career as it's moving forward to keep us grounded. And that was also pretty interesting, although the reviewer didn't like that or the way that it was handled. Anyways, my dogs are ready to go in. That is my Friday night chat. I'm looking around. I'm sure that I forgot something, but that's okay. I can include it in my next week's chat. I hope everybody has a great weekend. I'm going to end by looking at Wolverine. Look at him. Look at him in there. Thank you for watching.